Wow, okay, this is my AP history presentation. I've gone to this point, apparently, somehow. I just stopped breathing there for a second. I'm going to talk about the 3 Mile incident. The incident, it's so glorified as like a disaster or something. It even got a TV show called Meltdown, the 3 Mile accident or whatever on Netflix, even though nobody died. Like, I'll get into it. Okay, here we go. So, the feed water pumps within the reactor shut down because they tripped, and this caused the steam turbines and the electric generator to automatically, systematically shut off. And because of this, over the time afterwards, 2/3 of the uranium capacity became half as hot as the sun, and that's like 5,000 something degrees Fahrenheit. And the reactor itself and the design of the reactor, or what's protecting it, is the sole reason why this was an accident instead of a disaster like it's made out to be by the public. The reactor was 40 feet and 8-inch thick of steel inside two concrete and steel shields that were 9 feet thick within a containment building of 193 feet high, 4 feet thick, reinforced concrete walls. And that's just the vessel alone. That's not like just mechanically what's keeping it from like blowing up. Because if the uranium rods or whatever are left uncooled, they just continuously get hot and hot, even if they are shut down for a little while. So like the precautions that are made to prevent these things from happening are extreme. There's a lot of precautions made. But because of these accidents, it's made out like these are the worst things to ever happen, and they happen so commonly. Okay. Here's the real kicker here too. This disaster wasn't because of just something completely out of control. It wasn't from some catastrophe. No, there wasn't a dinosaur in there or something. Why did I think of a dinosaur? Either way, this literally all happened because of human error, right? The pilot relief valve was okay. The company who made the pilot relief valves, I'm not kidding you. The company is Babcock Wilcox. That's their name. And their valves failed about 11 times prior. And they didn't tell their customers. A reactor a reactor by the same company was failing over in Ohio about, I think, 13 months before this. And it was going through the exact same thing 3 Mile was going through, or well, at least in terms of a meltdown. But the employees or the people working found it and fixed it before it got bad, before it was too soon. That obviously didn't happen here at 3 Mile. And what drives me nuts is that they didn't update the manual, they didn't fix it. And so they had the exact same garbage at 3 Mile. And outside of this, the control room was outdated. It just not maintained. Lights were on the back of panels. Switches were out of calibration. Tags are covering warning signs, warning panels. No more than 52 alarms would go off when there should be at least 100. At least 100 alarms going off. And you couldn't even tell them apart from the emergency and normal ones. And so when a meltdown's going off, someone has to close uh, the block valve. And when someone asked if it was, the response was, "I don't know." So when they did go and shut it, it was too late and it was already going off the walls. And they had emergency pumps as like a backup, obviously, since the main ones tripped and failed. But they weren't even turned on for another hour after. So it was just complete laziness and just human stupidity was pretty much the reason for the entire thing to hit the fan to begin with. And I hate that this is called like a disaster if you were to read some headlines. It even gets a Netflix TV show. Nobody even died from this though. This was just this is just an accident. It's just an accident. It shouldn't have happened on multiple fronts, but it was just completely blundered, but nobody died from it. So it's kumbaya. So, like, people are always just like, okay, all right. When you think of like a meltdown or something, at least some people would, they think of like some sort of explode. Oh my god. Okay. They usually think of like an explosion of some sort, but really, like, it's not this. It's not this. All that happened was radiated gas or whatever, what you want to call it, was released into the air, and it wasn't even like enough for the neighboring town slash city that was 10 miles away from the reactor. It wasn't even enough for it to irritate the residents or like be considered a hazard or anything. So like it's not really even, no one died. It didn't get to any like, it didn't even get to the town or city, whatever that was 10 miles within range. Nothing, it didn't blow up. So like if you were to look up images, you're gonna find images of it, like it's still there. It's not used anymore, obviously, like completely drained and cleaned out, but it's still there. I don't know what else to tell you. Anyway, that's like the gist of it. 3 Mile was not some sort of disaster. It was an accident, so you don't need to worry. Well, it's not as much of a disaster as public media tends to make it seem. It's not. It's not the sequel to Chernobyl like I kind of would have hoped for. I'm kidding, but thanks for listening to me rant. Oh, and Mr. Warner, thanks for a good year. Anyway, later.